Welcome back to Librophiliac Knits. I wanted to show you the place that I end up sitting most of the time. My actual knitting corner. We're here in the upstairs living room. You know, you got one of those houses that ends up with like multiple living room situations. This is the brightly lit and yarn accessible one. I just want to come back and say hello and talk to you about what I've been up to, acquisition and project wise, and also, maybe talk to you a little bit about what I've been reading and what I'm working on in general. And it is a cold day, so it was a perfect day to wear my sweater that I made. This sweater is a slight variation on the party top. I will have to link the designer in the description below because I have forgotten it. But it's a variation because the pattern was for a fingering weight sweater, and I had this yarn that I really wanted to use, and rather than find something else that might work, I did the math to make this yarn work. So I ended up sort of using the basic gauge information and a lot of the numbers from my old favorite. I didn't realize how much I've made use of this, so thanks again to Tincanknits. But the Flax sweater is this is basically a worsted gauge, maybe DK, but so I just modified, well, I don't know if that even counts really, whatever. I did the math using the gauge with that I had with the yarn that I had, and then I stole the design elements from the party top sweater and just did it with this yarn instead. It's really fun because it does its own kind of colors changing, and I tortured myself a lot about the decisions involved, and what I came up with I ended up being really happy with. So that has been great. The patterns, both of them were super excellent. Obviously Party Top is really well written, and it was easy enough for me to sort of sort out which pieces I needed to make the sweater look like that pattern while using the entirely wrong type of yarn. So that was great. And then it turns out that was kind of in a fun twist. This yarn I bought years ago at a fiber festival, and when I went back to look it up, it turns out to be pretty local. And I just finished reading Clara Park's new book, The Vanishing Fleece, and one of the yarn makers mills that she works with, she's, the premise of that book being that she gets a bale of wool and breaks it up and uses it to make yarn at various American mills all over the country. It was kind of cool. But one of them was the Blackberry Ridge Woolen Mill in Wisconsin, Mount Horeb maybe, just outside of Madison, which is a place that I used to live. And the mill has actually closed or sort of gone on hiatus. The owners are trying to retire and would like to sell the place, and so far they have not found any takers. So, which is like, makes me want to, I would do, no, I'm not going. I gotta stay in my lane. I'm not suddenly going to turn into a machinist who makes yarn somewhere in Wisconsin. I am here in Minnesota nursing and knitting for funsies. But anyway, it's kind of cool that I got to read about that, and I was really sad because, the book was written years ago, and all of the wool involved was accounted for immediately because she sort of did a GoFundMe or crowdsourcing situation where people who wanted to help pay for it then got the fruits of that labor. And so by the time the book came out, all that yarn was long gone. But here it is. I had it in my house, yarn made by that mill. So my usual tendency when I hear about something that sounds interesting is like, I want to go out and get it. And in this case, I have it. I don't have to get it. It's right here. Oh, here, look. This is what's left. So it comes in these long, slow color repeats, which is really fun. And it looks just like hand spun. And the texture's great. It's very squishy. And it knits up so nicely. As you can see, it's got a fun eyelet detail. I have been debating the merits of making it longer. I think I would wear it more often if it wasn't so cropped. I'm not the queen of the cropped things, so maybe. It's entirely possible. Yeah. So that's what I'm wearing. And as you can see, it is still sort of summer around here. Just we're having a cold day. It was raining earlier, and so that's how I'm hedging my bets: a sweater and some shorts. Yeah. This is an old project. That's part of the reason I don't remember the name of the designer. What else do I want to show you? Do I have any finished objects? I don't think I do. I suddenly just desperately wanted to cast on like 15 things at once. Like I had my own personal cast on party where I just picked a bunch of patterns and got started on stuff because I was so tired of just working on one thing. Although, if I had just finished that, then I would have been finished with it, which would have been great. But that's not what happened. So let me show you the things that I am working on. Works in progress. Here's one of the books I'm reading. Yes, I can read and knit at the same time. I read a book, sort of a romance novel. If you are a knitter who likes to read like I am, and you love a little romance novel action, I highly recommend. There's a whole knitting related series by a favorite author of mine named Rachael Herron, and she mentioned that one of her knitting characters could also read at the same time. And of course, when I read about things like that, I want to try it. And it turns out that, yeah, I can, as long as the pattern's not too difficult. This one is a little too hard for reading and knitting at the same time because it's color work. Let me, oh man, I keep getting way back in the chair. I gotta come forward. So this is finally, I cast on the Ghost Horses by Caitlin Hunter, Boylan Knitworks, and I am using my own hand spun along with this super smooshy Elsa wool Cormo, which I again bought because I heard about it and I had to try it, and it's I'll show it to you scanned up. It's so squishy, squish, squishy, squish. Yeah. All right, and then the hand spun. Yeah. Look at the fun things that are in store. Looks like there's going to be a lot more yellow soon. But in the meantime, I love that it's starting off with this sort of deep green, mossy looking. It's got some thick and thin spots. The color changes are fun and unexpected. We're getting into some pinky stuff right now. Yeah, it's fantastic. And everyone thinks I'm a magician because I can knit so many ways. I don't know what they're barking at. Anything else fun in there? No. Okay. That was number one. Number two. I made 2 copies of this hat, of the bobble hat, many years ago. And I don't know what happened to one of them, but the other one my mom stole, you know, and more power to her. She wears it all the time, so it's very gratifying. And she asked me to make one for her and my daughter they share a flute teacher, Susie, and the fabulous and talented Susie has requested one of these hats. And so I cast on and I started the hat, and then I ran out of yarn. And the other greens that I had, I could have sworn I had like a whole sweater quantity of this. I used a bunch of it in my patchwork blanket that I still haven't shown you guys. It's on my bed. And I could swear that there's more, but it came to me like partially knit up and partially in balls, and just sort of somebody's like gave up the ghost on making a sweater out of this stuff and then passed it along to me. And maybe I used it all. I just can't remember. Either that or I stashed it somewhere I cannot find. So I got this far and ran out of yarn. And the next best yarn I thought that looked like grass was this stuff. And it's such a hard transition. Like, this is kind of fluffy and very, very grass green. And this is like, it will have the texture of grass knit up, but like the two of them next to each other, I started, and then it doesn't, it's a big no. So, I'm debating the merits of just keep going with something else and make this a hat, you know, gray or something. It just has a fun brim. Or rip it all out and start over. Obviously that one is not high on the list. Number 3. I love that I'm holding up like 8 fingers. Okay. My new bag. Look at the roller skates. Did I show you this yet? Oh, mama. Look at that. You know why? Because I don't roller skate anymore. I'm gonna cry. So, I guess this technically is a finished object, because I didn't show it to you last time because the pattern wasn't released yet. I'm going to murder the word. I assume it is, I know that it's Gaelic. Per the designer's description, her name is Liz Cork with an E at the end. And in Gaelic, B and H together do something special, and that is how this word ends. So I'm going to mess this up. Ready? It's called the Triable sock. And that is the word for plow in Gaelic. And you can see the super cool plow detail. And the reason I didn't think of this as a finished object, even though I didn't show it to you the last time because it wasn't released yet, is because I haven't finished the second sock. Because they are enormous. And this was the thing I got frustrated with just working on solo. Oops. And I cannot find anyone with feet this big. I've had multiple people try them on. Try on this one. This is a Cinderella sock right here. And whoever it fits on doesn't get to marry the princess, but they can have some socks. Yeah, so look at this super fun color change situation. The yarn does it all by itself. It is online, super sock. There's some left. It's still going. I have a whole nother ball of this. It's 300 grams of wool. So plenty to finish the monster sock. The beauteousness that is Liz Cork's design. And I'm turning the heel finally. I'm turning the heel, and then we'll go up and be done with this. And then it will turn into a pair of, if I can't find, that's what I was gonna say. My daughter was saying that if I wanted to, I could just make these into Christmas stockings because they're so big. Or if I did something to make it so it cinches. This could be my sock knitting bag. That is a sock. That would be pretty funny. Yeah. But oh, here, look at this. This is the other for the sock yarn. See the size of this? Oh, it's 150 grams. So it's, but 375 meters. That's a lot. Sock yarn doesn't usually come something quite this big. And especially to have two of them, they could have been like all the way up the leg size. Look, I put a jade plant there. It's so pretty and cute, because normally there's a big ugly bucket there full of partially processed wool. That's not on the docket for today. That was just a sneak peek. Okay. That was, what else? That was 1, 2, 3, 4. What's in it? What's in there? What you got in there? What's happening? How did we get here? You took a wrong turn with your YouTube clicking. This is what happens when I talk to myself. And 24 of you lovely friends. Okay, what do we got? My as if tee is coming along. This is the front. I stopped at this much. It'll go like this. I might actually make that a little longer so that the boobies fall. My chin game is strong today. Anyway, and then I'm working on the back. Did I just drop stitches? I don't think so. Oh, maybe. Shoot. Oh yeah, totally. Crap. And it's mohair. Oh, that was a smart thing to do. Yeah, okay. Looks like I only dropped like 2. Yay! So I'm working on the back panel. I am using Knit Peaks Paragon. Lovely black. It's really soft. It's really soft. Like I might even wear it next to my skin. And then I had it in here. What is it? Where'd it go? Shibui. I thought it was the Knit Picks, but it's actually the Shibui Silk Cloud. And this mohair is lovely. Also, it's soft enough that I don't dislike it. I'm not always a huge mohair fan. So, what was I gonna tell you? The pattern's great. I'm playing Yarn Chicken. I originally was planning to use a different color held double with the black to make it sparkly, and when I went to finally cast it on, I realized that would produce a fabric that isn't really my aesthetic. I am way more likely to wear a plain black anything than something that is black mixed with like brown and gold sparkles. It's like a tan with gold, and that color scheme is sort of like comes and goes in terms of being something that I'm okay with. So I didn't want to make it a thing that I wouldn't wear. You know, I gotta pay attention and wear the thing that I would, or like know myself. Like, yes, it's fun to get carried away with purchasing yarn and knitting things, but if I'm not gonna wear it, then it's just more stuff taking up space in my various clothing receptacles. Yeah. And I didn't want to do that. So I have way less yarn than I was expecting to. And it has worked out fine so far. All that's left that requires the thicker black yarn, and it's supposed to be held double because I have a sport weight and it calls for an Herron weight, and this fabric looks good. I think it'll be okay. It's supposed to have a collar and a sleeve cuff, and you know, if I have to skip one of them, like the sleeve part, it's not going to be a big deal. I think I have more than enough. In fact, I may have made it too cropped. Speaking of not really wearing crop stuff, this is like, it's going to be really warm, and it's mohair. Like, that's pretty warm stuff. So I'm not sure, like, when will I ever wear this unless I throw it on top of a dress, which might work out really well. I don't entirely know. That's the whole thing. I'm gonna make it, and then I'm gonna figure out how to wear it. Yeah. All right. Last but not least, I am really excited about this and terrified, a little bit terrified, because I decided to try designing something. And so I have no expectations of like releasing a pattern or anything. I am just trying to make something for myself. And it's starting off with a cable. Here, I'm gonna get closer. Cable. And let me tell you, this is not the yarn to cable with. It is so splitty. It's a bamboo, like True Boo, Plymouth yarns, purchased from like Joann Fabrics. It is, speaking of, it's sort of a pinky peach. The idea, and it may not work, but that's the whole fun, right? Is to figure it out. The idea is that this will be, oh yeah, oh, I'm about ready. I'm going to graft this sucker back together. I just have these held on waste yarn, and this is going to be the collar, and then I'm going to drape off of here and make a flowy tank top sort of situation. Because this is kind of a warm weather yarn, and I would like to make a summer knit, although as you can see by the sweater I'm wearing today, it's like almost too late here in the great state of Minnesota. We usually have a lovely late autumn heat wave, so maybe it will make it out in time for that. But it's entirely possible it will not. Yes. All right, so those are the things that I'm working on. Wish me luck on that last one. And then books I'm reading. Well, I heard about the fact that so you've heard of Jane Goodall, right? Famous for studying chimpanzees. And you've heard of Dian Fossey, or at least I have, because they made a biopic about her starring one of my favorite actresses of all time, Sigourney Weaver. And I watched that, and she studied gorillas. That's the title. But apparently there was a third woman studying a third type of ape, and that is Biruté Galdikas. And I am so sorry if I'm messing that up. I probably, oh, thanks. Okay. Probably am. So I am reading her book about studying orangutans in the Indonesian and Malaysian jungles. And I'm also reading a book about all three of them. It's like kind of the primer, just to get an idea. But I just was like, wait, there was a third one? And apparently all three of these women were the proteges of Louis Leakey, who was a UCLA professor, about whom I know nothing except that his name, I've heard that name many times over the years. Just like, thanks to the joys of Sesame Street, I've heard of
Dr. Livingston, I presume?
Yes, Sam Livingston, Jungle Doctor.
but anyway, people that were famous for exploring or doing something in that regard that I don't actually know anything about them. I just know of their name, and that sort of cultural reference has clued me into, like, they must have explored a thing or done a thing somewhere. Louis Leakey's like I think they said he was an anthropologist or an archaeologist. So good for him. Anyway, he in some way inspired these 3 women to go out and study great apes in different parts of the world, and that's really cool, and I want to learn more about them. So I've been reading about that, and then I'm reading Killers of the Flower Moon and The Osage Murders and the Birth of the FBI, which after I started reading this book, I was looking at the description of another book that also claims to be explaining the birth of the FBI, and they are not in the same vicinity, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure who comes first or why everyone wants to be the one that started the reason that the FBI was... No. So I got a little true crime nonfiction situation happening. I'm usually reading at least one romance novel. I'm also reading I didn't realize how old it was. Not that old, it's really old. It's not as old as me, but I'm reading a book about, a memoir called A Year in Provence, which is about an English guy that moved with his wife to Provence for a year. Turns out it was happening in the 1980s, which I didn't know. So that's fun. That's really good. I've been reading that one in the bathtub. It was a good relax with a glass of wine and just drift away to Provence. Although, since it's in English and the guy didn't seem to speak much French, I'm a little disappointed. Because I just need to start reading in French again. And then I don't have to be disappointed. Then I can be frustrated that my vocabulary's gone to hell. That'll be way more fun. All right. So anyway, meanwhile, my dear friend Wax and I went to a yarn yard sale for the Minnesota Knitters Guild, and I came away from that with a number of books. Barbara Walker, Knitting Around, Elizabeth Zimmermann, that's one I didn't have yet, and The Knitter's Book of Yarn, Clara Parks. There were a lot more I would have very happily purchased, but the lady at the till was just giving me the hairy eyeball, and I couldn't figure out if she wanted me to go away, but I felt like she thought I was being a glutton, and I didn't want to be unfair and take all the good stuff. I did get also a book of Alice Starmore cable patterns, which is probably more than I'll ever manage, but cables are a thing that I'm suddenly interested in. I've been trying to work more on braiding my hair in interesting ways too. It's just the technique of making interesting lumpy designs. It's something I'm interested in right now. All right. So what else happened? Well, of course there was yarn at the yarn thing. So there's gonna be some plastic crinkles. I'm sorry. And sometimes I don't know what it is, and that's gonna be half the fun of making stuff with it. But I got this beautiful, looks hand painted. It's a little scratchy, rustic, if you will. Woolly, probably a worsted weight. Might be good for a hat or two. I will not put it back in the bag. It's very crinkly. And oh boy, I'm sorry. So many crinkles. So many crinkles. But I got these two together. They were set out separately, but I was looking at them near each other and just thought, this is a fun pairing. So this one, I don't know if you can see it, is sparkly. See the sparkles? Kind of a pumpkin-y color. And this one is hand-dyed mustard and cream. Marigold, it says, by Garden Yarn. And the other one is quality hand-painted yarn, dream in color, starry sock weight with silver. It was too cheap to pass up. Let me just say, all the things I am showing you, my whole haul from that sale. This, for example, the lovely speckly turquoise and gray situation, which is everything that I wear all the time. The whole haul of stuff from this sale, I spent $55. This one was given to me for free. They were going to throw it out because I had to do a lot of untangling. Someone had started the base of an Argyle sweater and just gave up the ghost on it, I guess. But I was looking at it after I got it onto this needle holder because they just pulled the needle out and tossed that into the bin of free straight needles for anyone to take, which nobody was taking, of course. And in retrospect, I'm like, why didn't I? No, because I don't need them. Okay. But look, it's hat-sized. I mean, never mind about all the hidden disaster on the inside, but this could totally be a hat. So if I just sew the edges together, why not? Have a free hat. And it's pretty and it looks like I made it. Or I could gift it to someone or whatever. And it came with lots of extra. In interesting colors. I'm keeping it in this bag I made in my moment of sewing. Someday I'll get back to sewing. Okay, the ones that I was the most excited about were, I was just introducing myself to Stacy of Stress Knits. I watched one of her podcast episodes and she was talking about linen quill, which is the yarn produced by Purl Soho in New York. And I was interested in it. And I went and looked on the website and I did not feel comfortable purchasing it right now. I'm still trying to like claw my way out of some debt. So let's not be a total idiot. $55 is within my budget, but $18 a skein. When I wasn't sure if I would even like the stuff, not necessarily. But then I went to the sale and here it was. Yeah, look at the yarn, not at me for 1 second. So and there's cream, light gray, dark gray, plenty to make something. Not to make what Stacy's making because she makes the half and half triangles wrap over and over again. And that requires a lot more of this than I have, but that's okay. I'm not sure I was meant to make that anyway. This one was like the best part of the haul. This was another like yarn I had been dreaming of. It is, oh, hold up the whole huge bag. It is Icelandic wool, the kind that where it's pencil roving. You know what I'm talking about? It's okay if you don't. Look. I wanted to try it. I've heard of it and it sounds interesting. It also sounds like something that will not travel well, so I'm gonna have to be willing to just leave it here and work on it when I'm here. But this is the yarn recommended to make Melanie Mandarine. She calls herself Mandarin. She lives in France. She's not from there originally. She might be Dutch. I forget. She's got the cutest accent. But she designed these two sweaters, the tulip sweater And then the tulip cardigan came later, and they call for, and I think there might be enough to make a lovely blueberry. I will be a blueberry tulip. And again, it's cropped. So every time I'm like, I don't really wear crop sweater. I'm going to knit another crop sweater. I don't really wear crop sweaters. Oh, I'm going to knit another crop sweater. It's a sickness. I can't help it. Or I could make it stripy, because I don't have enough to do a really long sweater in all one color, I don't think. But I could make it something that had those little French stripes. Lots of cream with stripes of blue. Magnifique. Okay, here it is. Oh my goodness. It's brushed Surrey. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skeins of it in here. Oh. I don't know if keeping it in a plastic bag is great for it. It'll have to get skeined up anyway, so that'll help chill it out. Yeah. Look at how fun these are together. I was thinking, look, this is like the dreamiest of dreamy pom-pom. But they have a couple really fun things in here that would be great for just such an occasion. But hang on, let me see if I can find what I wanted, what I was thinking about. I've been looking at dresses made of knitting, and these, I think this peplum situation, or turning it into the full-size dress in this stuff, might be really ridiculously fun. Or it might look terrible on me. You never know. One more thing. Just one more. That was my amazing haul. My amazing haul. Oops. I did a little spinning. I needed a breather from the knitting at one point, and I finally got back onto my spinning wheel and made myself some yarns. I'm using the Hello Yarn Club colors. This one was called Sweetest Scent. It was the March Cheviot. Look what I did. Look what I can do. A little overspun there. Oops. That's okay. Still not that great at this, and that's okay. And then this one is called Spine Tingler. This is the June one, Organic Polworth. This is softer, and I made it thinner. And it's so foresty. Got a lot of foresty green situations happening. I think this is technically a fractal spin. I really like them. I don't know what else I'm gonna make. And I've started spinning up another batch, but I am tempted to not just use that with itself. I might do it with a gray as a secondary color. Kind of like what's going on in this, where it's gray in the background and then fun colors. Okay, one more thing. I fell down and landed on the internet, and I just couldn't stay away from. Look at this. This is Winnie Jo Fiber Co. Tuscany. She just got back from a trip to Italy, and she was inspired to make some gorgeous yarn. This is Squish DK 100% superwash merino, hand dyed in Pennsylvania. Way to go, Winnie Jo. And she was also selling stitch markery things, or progress keepers, or whatever you want to call them. And she, I guess, buying a sweater quantity's worth gets you free stuff, because she sent me one, and it's so cute. It wasn't the one that I was obsessed with, because that one was $28 for a single item. because it looks like it is handmade out of Sculpey. And if you have to make hundreds of those, yeah, I would charge $28 for that too, and more power to her. But she gave me a little wine bottle, little Chianti, to go with my Tuscan. I am hoping to make a sweater out of this. It's just gorgeous. I'm so excited. It's so squeezy. Yeah. All right. Those are the things that I have to tell you. In other news, I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't done anything. I recently decided to apply for a new position in my hospital. I've been working in their float pool for 4.5 years, and I will be starting in their labor and delivery unit in September, and I am really excited and a little bit terrified because birth and everything surrounding birth is what got me into the nursing field in the first place. And whenever I've thought about completing my DNP, I've always assumed that I would become a midwife. That was always the dream. And if it turns out that this is not the thing that I love, then I did all of this for something that didn't work out. And that would be disappointing. Even if I, love lots of other types of nursing, which I do, I have really enjoyed the float pool. I love knowing all the nooks and crannies of my hospital and knowing all the people and all the places to look for things. And I love walking on a floor and being the one that people turn to because I am knowledgeable in many fields. And I'm a social butterfly when I'm feeling extroverted, so that that really appealed to me. And labor and delivery and postpartum are sort of cut off from the rest of the hospital. Once you go there, you don't come out again. And a lot of my friends have gone to work there, so I'm really excited to be back with them again. But I'm understandably nervous about making a big life change. And really excited, terrified, excited, terrified, excited. And at the same time, my Bree is starting college later this month, which is really great, but it could make for some scheduling change problems. And she's still not driving, so I will be chauffeuring her to and from college until she gets that going. And that's going to be a lot too, probably. I'm thinking about finally putting Chase in some kind of daycare so that he can get more socialized in preparation for kindergarten, because that could totally happen next year, at least pre-K. And also because then maybe we can have some sort of regular sleep when we work during the week, although I might have to work more to afford daycare because it's crazy pants expensive. I didn't realize how bad it had gotten, but it's really something. Especially because I'm looking into the bilingual ones, and so frustrated. I live on the wrong side of town. There is a French bilingual, like preschool, childcare sort of situation, but it is in the far western suburbs on the other end of Minneapolis. And I am not going to drive that far. That would tack another, expense, the gas and car maintenance expense on top of everything else. So I just, c'est la vie. I started out learning languages by learning Spanish and ended up a francophone. So if he starts out in a Spanish-English daycare and gets that foundation, hopefully it would spread into a greater knowledge on a number of levels. So I am hopeful. And I do live very close to a local, the St. Paul Public School that is a French immersion, so it's still possible. I am hoping that he can get into it, because, you know, if I don't mind my P's and Q's and do everything the earliest possible, I imagine that there are limited spots and that people who have siblings that already go to the school will have first dibs. And I really want him to go to an immersion school. I really think that that would have maybe avoided a lot of the problems that we had when my older son started kindergarten, because he was already reading and they had to get everybody else caught up with him. And so he was bored. He was being naughty, you know, he's like sitting in the back of class, staring at the ceiling or like coloring on the carpets. Just, he wasn't participating because he didn't need to, because they were teaching everybody else a thing he already knew. And if it had all been in a different language, then he would have had to keep up. Not that Chase is even reading yet, but just, I'm trying to avoid repeating my mistakes with my younger child. The thing that parents do. Doesn't always work out. Wish me luck again. I think that's probably more than enough of this. Thanks for listening. If you have stuck around, I appreciate you. If you would like to follow me on the Instagram or have a look at what I'm up to on the Ravelry, I am Librophiliac on Ravelry and Cat279 on Instagram. And those are about the only social medias I really bother with. And yeah, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I did set up a coffee account. Some people say Ko-Fi, but the first time I heard it, the person said coffee. And it's for a cup of coffee, you can help support me as a maker or an artist. And, this isn't really costing me anything other than I need to stay off of the internet, so I stop buying. That was not supposed to happen. Oops, I fell down and broke my whole budget. Not that I'm very good at budgeting anyway. We've been trying $100 cash for the week, so I don't get any money this week because I bought that. Yeah. Come find me. Tell me if you like this. Give me a thumbs up. Say hello. Comment, like, subscribe, do the things. Tell your friends. I don't know. Actually, you know what? Since all 24 of you are people I know, give me a call later. I'm sitting here by myself with my tea. I know you are only watching this because we don't get to hang out anymore. I miss you too. Give me a call later. I'd love to hear from you. I'd like to talk to people in person sometime. I feel like a shut-in. I don't even have to be a shut-in. I don't know what's wrong with me. COVID has ruined me. I didn't even get the damn disease so far. So, yeah. I love you. I miss you. I'll see you later.